Hi, welcome to Outlier Daily Report. So let's get started. So in today's episode, I will mostly focus on the sectors, how to identify when sectors start moving up, some of these sectors and indexes, and see which direction they are going, whether they are going up or whether they are going down. So before I get started, let me share a brief story with you guys. So many years ago, like when I started my trading, and I was actually very proud of this whole process at that time. Early on, I would this was my due diligence process basically. I would look, I will read, what are some of the hot companies. I will go to these so-called chat rooms, right? I will hear what other people are talking about, right? And then maybe I would start identifying some of these opportunities, some of these companies, right? And I would go to their website, company's website, right? I would read about what product they are building, what they are doing, maybe look into their filings, right? And my gut feeling played a major role at that time, and I'm not very proud right now because in many cases I will lose money. Why? Because I'll give you example. One of the example that I'm going to share today in this session, how the rate cuts are going to happen, right? So Fed is meeting right now, probably going to start soon. They are going to announce how deep or how much the rate cut is going to be. Uh, and like if I go back in time, if this situation is there, how I would decode this situation, I would look into Google and try to identify which sectors are gonna get impacted by this rate cut. So let's say, for example, real estate, utilities. So these are couple of sectors which are very very rate sensitive, right? And then I would, as soon as they announce the rate cut, I would, jump right in, try to identify these opportunities. I may make money, I may lose money. Why? If you see that today, let's say for example, utilities or real estate sector, right? And if I make a decision today to get into these sectors today, they are already going up from last month or so. Today I have outlier platform, I have this data uh, there in front of me to see when that change is about to happen, and I'll show you in a second how I look at it. But imagine if I get into utility sector, let's say a month ago, then I will probably catch up majority of that upswing, and it may keep on going up. The rates are going to go down, it may keep on going up, but if I do it right now, then there is a risk. Why there is a risk? Because from last month it's kind of going up up up, and what if I get in right now and then correction happens? So I don't know. So some of these things, I used to trade uh, using my gut, and I was very proud about it at that time. But now, because I have data in front of me, I can make better decisions. So let's get started. Uh, so again, I am, just to, for the people who doesn't know me, I am co-founder and CEO at Outlier. What is Outlier? So what we have done is we have built algorithms that can capture how investors are reacting to these changing market conditions. So every day you have, a new news coming up, price movements happening, changes in economy. So we have built these algorithms that captures how investors are reacting, and then essentially we have a process, we have this algorithm that actually capture how fearful or how greedy these investors are on the individual stock or ETF level, and by how much. And then you can use this data, and I will show you how to look at the data. So the way I look at the market, I have essentially these four processes. I look at market and sector, like I look at from this 30,000 feet view, how each sector is doing, how overall market is doing, whether it's trending downward, whether it's trending upward, what is that time, right? So this is kind of very, very important. When that breakout happen or when that change happen, essentially when it's going from upward to downward, and when it changes direction, that's kind of very, very important. Because if you have some way or in some form with high probability to tell when that happen, you can uh, essentially make better decisions. So let's dive right into it. So today, as I said, I will mostly focus on the sector and indexes, and just look at it from that angle, which sector, um, which index, where it stands. For example, I talked about utilities because, as I said, it is one of the sector which is very sensitive to the rate cuts. The Fed rate cut is gonna happen. I don't know how much they're gonna do it, but it is sensitive sector. So let's pull this thing. Let me do this thing so that you can see my screen better. Okay, all right. So as I said, you need to focus on two things. One, this bull list percent chart, and the second one, the uptrend and downtrend chart right here. Uh, as a confirmation, I go to TrendSpider and I do look into, for example, XLU, utilities, ETF, to make sure that, I'm looking into the in the right direction, right? So let's pull this thing right here. So as I said earlier, that it is one of the sector which is sensitive to rate cut. And now I have data in front of me, and I'm going to look at it when this particular sector started moving from that downward trajectory to the upward trajectory. And if I follow the data, I can do that day in and day out. For example, back in, so if you guys see, around June 5, 6. So what I'm looking at, so think about this. In a sector, you have certain number of stocks, right? Uh, if there are more stocks in downtrend and less stocks in uptrend, right? So essentially what's happening, the price is going down, right? As number of stocks in downtrend are increasing, and as number of stocks in uptrend are decreasing, the price is going down, the sector is going down. It's very easy, right? So here what I'm looking here is that, as you can see, the number of stocks in uptrend are going down around this time, right? And number of stocks in downtrend are going up. I want to see when this pattern breaks. I want to see uh, when this pattern breaks, when number of stocks in uptrend, are increasing, and number of stocks in downtrend are decreasing. So somewhere around, like I look at this thing, I just pull it back here. When I hover my mouse here, you can see up there, you can see the count. So on July 5th, you have 4 stocks in uptrend and 24 stocks in downtrend. And I want to see this pattern like breaking up, more stocks in uptrend, less stocks in downtrend. So it's still, so somewhere around this time frame, like July 8th and July 10th we have 725. Around this time frame it has started, reversing the course. So it has started reversing the course now. uh, I can, with very high probability, with very high confidence, now I am kind of in a position where I can see that, okay, yeah, this bullish percent, this chart, this line is started going up, and my number of stocks in downtrend are going down, and number of stocks in uptrend are going up. So somewhere around this time, it's probably a good time to get into utilities. And again, you have to look into the other things as well. We have been talking about the rate cuts, and a month ago we kind of knew, like, the way inflation numbers were coming up, the way Fed was giving hint that rate cut is coming. They told that a month ago, right? Month and a half ago. That in September they are going to go for rate cut. So you need to keep, like, your ear on the ground for those things, and then look at this data. Now let's pull, like, XLU. Like, I'm just gonna pull here, or maybe just I'll pull trend spider. So okay, so somewhere around this time frame, so it's where it is. Hold on. Which dates we were looking at? XLU. Yeah. So July 10th, right after that, July 10th, 11th, after that. So I come here, right? And this is, I started using this as a confirmation. So somewhere around this time frame, you are seeing what Chris has, one of his criteria. He want to see your 10 is above 20. The daily EMA 10 is above 20. So around this same time frame, it started happening, right? And I look back into our data. This was probably a great time to get into utilities, right? Well, you I don't know whether you missed the boat or not. Right now, what concerns me, right? Everybody is talking about rate cut, but you see there are so many stocks in uptrend right now, in this thing today. Like, if I look at it, there are almost 55 stocks in uptrend and 3 stocks in downtrend. It may continue going up. I cannot tell you. This is kind of very hard. What's going to happen tomorrow? I wish I can tell, but uh, will I take a risk? Maybe, maybe not. But essentially, there's going to be an impact on utility sector. You're going to see a lot of stocks. Either they are already going up from past few weeks, or already are, you know, there are good setups there. So if you are looking for opportunity, in my opinion, look for some of these sectors where, this data point has started to shrink. Means number of stocks in downtrend has started to go down, and number of stocks in uptrend has started to go up, which aligns well with your bullish percent chart. I think that you can pick that sector as a winner. I mean, if I just constantly look at it, let's look at tech sector. Let's look at financials, right? So in financials, it, like, what my data is telling me, that it just started happening. It's not late, right? So I go back on September 13th, when the number of stocks in uptrend were around 118, and in downtrend 40. I want to see an improvement, right? So it has started to happen, right? And if you see this line right here, it has started changing direction, which is a good thing, right? So, and if I want to make sure that, you want to get a second confirmation from, let's pull XLF. Okay, it's kind of telling the same story. So around August 15 and XLF. Sorry. So August 15 definitely, this time frame, if you go back, this had, like, if you would have gone long, took a trade around August 15, that was a, probably the one of the beautiful trades that you could have taken, you know. And recently, let's look at the recent time frame few days ago. So it's in a good spot, right? It's in a good spot. I mean, there's a order block again. These things. You need to be careful with these things when there is an order block. But to me, financial sectors is probably going to get impacted, right? Rates are going to go down. Some of these sectors are probably going to get um, good uh, tailwind behind them, and you may see some of these sectors are going to give better returns than the others. So essentially, what I am saying here is, once you get used to this particular tab, market breadth, right? Start getting a good feel of how to read it. Um, then in my opinion, when opportunities come, you're not late to the party, right? What I told you earlier, that many years ago I would have just looked at, oh yeah, Fed is going to decrease the rates. Oh, utility sector, let's get in, like maybe today. Right? um, but as you can see, I'm late to the party. I want to get in. I want to get in at the earliest time possible. I don't want to get in too early, but I want to get in at the right time. So this data point really, really helps. I mean, you can pull any any sector here. You can pull any sector, and it does a wonderful job in kind of catching those big waves, right? You can get in early. You can look into sector ETFs. You can look into uh, indexed products. So you'll probably do great if you just follow this data, and if you're just trading sector ETFs. Um, and if I know that this sector is kind of going in a good direction, right, going up, if I'm a long, I want to focus on stocks which are in this sector. Why? In my personal opinion, when you have a sector in the same direction, like if it is going up, you want to get in. If you're long, if you're planning to go long, choose a stock from that sector because it helps, right? If you're betting that this stock will go up, make sure that the sector, the corresponding sector, is also in line. The overall market is also in line. For example, um, a couple of months ago, right, everything was falling, and the bad companies were falling, the good companies were falling. It doesn't matter. Like if a company is great, the whole market is falling, you'll probably lose money. So that's kind of it's important to look into these things. So, coming back to our watch list, I think there are a lot of opportunities right now. I mean, um, if you know what I mean, you have. So what I have done is filtered by utilities and real estate sector. And as I said, if you knew when that run up was going to happen, you pull any company. I mean, you pull any company, you may see that that particular company, when the whole sector was started going up, that probably made a ton of money. Like for example, AMH. Let's look into AMH. And I don't know what is AMH. um, let's look into AMH. American Homes for Rent is leading single family property owner, leasing operator, and build to rent developer. I read it, and I know that they are probably going to benefit from rate cut. they may have loans which need refinancing, or they may be looking for new loans at better rates. So definitely they're gonna get, you'll see benefit. If I look into how this stock has been doing AMH recently, and that's why it's so important to keep an eye on the sector AMH. Man, this stock has been, on the rip. So it has been going up. I mean, the data matches, like, um, you align this data with the sector data. You look into some of the recent times. So for example, AMH, like recently, you know, there was a buy signal around August 5th. There was a buy signal around August 5th. And after that, it's an uptrend. These green overlays, these are uptrend. So um, so the this chart right here, it's nothing, but we know how many stocks are in uptrend for that sector, and we're just simply showing the count for that sector. So coming back here, yeah, somewhere around this time frame, August 5th, the buy signal was there. It has been going up from that time. uh, of course, what, the rate cut was going to happen in September. The data was telling us. And really, as I mentioned, all you need to do is make sure that you get familiar with how to look at this data. And I think you're gonna just find so many opportunities. I mean, it's not like there's only one opportunity. There are so many opportunities, as long as it makes sense. I mean, I do double check the financials, the recent filings, how the company is doing, etc. But overall, there are so many opportunities. All you need to do is wait for the right time, look at the data, and kind of go from there. So that's pretty much it I want to cover today. And again, as I said, today I just focused on market and sector analysis, right? um, the next step I usually do is finding opportunities, right? So once I know which sector I want to focus on, right, I look to find opportunities. I look into bull bear list. We have a screener, very unique screener. I look into those opportunities. Um, when I say in-depth analysis, I look into the stock detail page. I look into how the oscillator is doing, right? Where the heat map is, whether a stock is in uptrend, downtrend. I look at their data. And then I also make sure that company is healthy. It's not a zombie company. You know what I mean? It's making some profit. It has a real business. So I do look into those things. The third thing I look into, how other people are rating this company. When I say other people, I'm talking about analysts. Do they have good thing to say about that company? So some of these things, and of course news. I look into news as well. I want to make sure if I'm going long, there's no like bad news out there. Um, you know, just to make sure that if I go long and if some bad news comes out, that doesn't impact my investment. And the third and the fourth and the final step is again trade setup, monitoring, and exit. When I get into a position, I want to make sure that I'm looking at my holdings every day to look for uh, my rules, to make sure that there are no red flags if I have to get in or get out. So that's all for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, or if you guys want to me to look into certain things, I'm happy to do that. Um, okay, so I'll try this thing. So we have Doug. Thanks for joining. We have Chris. Um, I like how you are combining the market breadth plus uptrend overlays together. Make perfect sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. More data points that matches, you know, and just like you said, you want to make sure that everything is aligned, and that's when you want to make trades. So I think this is kind of important. Uh, Mark, hi Mark. So thanks all for joining today. And again, if you wanna get access to Outlier, I would suggest you do it in this month. We have a special going on for just $299. The prices are gonna go up after September 30th. So thanks all for joining, and I will see you tomorrow.